All right, this is my first video in this channel and my first one on a series that I'm planning on a universal app development with Expo. So the first thing you might be wondering is what exactly is a universal app? And so what I'm talking about, universal apps are, writing one code base that can target multiple platforms. React Native has been around for quite a while, and it's made it easier for React developers to target Android and iOS. But now what you might not know is that we can also target the web platform. Nicholas Gallagher created React Native Web, and it was used originally to build Twitter Lite. A few other, I think, Major League Soccer, some other ones have used it. It's been around for a couple of years itself. I think actually I'm going to post a link below from Nicholas's React Rally 2017 talk about React Native Web, where he does a really great job just going into more depth on why he created it and some concepts behind it. But so as you can see, basically, we're going to use Expo. I'll go in more of that in a little bit, but one code base to have maximum reach, right? We can target any platform. We can use Electron for desktop apps. I think you may not even need to use Electron pretty soon with React Native for Windows and some stuff on the Mac. I don't know if I'm going to get into desktop development in this series, but perhaps. We'll see. So actually, I'm going to talk more about it, but let me go ahead and get started on creating the Expo app, or I guess I should explain. So Expo, according to their documentation, let me pull that up over here. What is Expo? Right, so it says right here, it's a framework and platform for universal React applications built around React Native platforms that help you build, deploy, develop, and iterate on iOS, Android, and web apps. The other thing, that they're kind of implying here is that they can host, and one thing that's appealing to me and my team at work is some of the over-the-air updates. So you don't always have to publish every new change in your app to the App Store. I think if you add new dependencies, there's certain things you do where you're going to have to submit it for review to the app stores and go through the normal process of submitting apps. But if your new version is just code changes in the JavaScript layer, then you can do it over the air, and that's a pretty great thing that I want to go get into. So if you don't already have Expo installed, just go ahead and install it. It's just a npm install globally Expo CLI. I do have it installed, so you could just do Expo init, give it a name. I don't know, call it Bacon. Not sure what this demo app's going to be. Slightly newer version available. I'm just going to use this one for now with the blank TypeScript. We'll go ahead and try out the TypeScript template and give it a name, Bacon, and go ahead and install those dependencies. So while that's going, I want to talk a little bit more about kind of the basic concept of what React Native is why React Native is a decent API to do universal development. And basically what React Native gives us is a set of primitives. Like, say, take the text component, for example. Text is a very generic React Native component, but when it renders on devices, so on iOS, it will render a native UI label, and on Android, the React Native text component will render a native text view, and on the web, something like a span. So it's an abstraction. These primitives are kind of abstractions over native components, and kind of allow us to write once and build anywhere. So let's see. I've got this React Native app initialized. Just go into it. Let's go ahead and start it. So let's see, that opened it up in this other window. Or at least, let's see, get my terminal up here too. So, first thing you might notice is this QR code. That's pretty cool. What you can do, if you install the Expo client from the App Store on your Android phone or iPhone, you can just use your camera on your phone on this QR code, and it'll go ahead and give you an option to launch it in Expo. And as you're developing, you're going to get live updates, hot loading and stuff like that. It's going to be just a really nice developer experience. You can see another thing, you can just use the simulator. Since I'm doing a screencast, it might be easier if I do that. So like I'm going to hit the I button, the I key in the terminal, and was not happy about something, but let's see if it finishes anyway. So right now it's trying to launch my simulator. Oh, actually, let me pull that over here. I have the simulator open on the other screen. It just wasn't being very responsive. It actually did launch. There was a little splash screen. Here, let me pull up the Android one so we can see it on that one as well. All right, so right now I'm running the base. It's just a initialized empty boilerplate from Expo, and just have this view with this text open app TSX to start working in your app on iOS. I'm going to go ahead and press the A key in the terminal and launch it on my Android device emulator here. These emulators, I guess if you want to use the emulators instead of a physical device, for iPhone, I think you can get it through the having Xcode installed, which and on the Android one, Android Studio, and you can read about their documentation on how to set up the emulators. The nice thing about Expo is you actually don't need, if you run the managed flow, you don't really need a Mac. I mean, you do, I guess, if you want the simulator. I'm not sure if there's one for Windows or whatever, but if you have an iPhone, you could just scan the QR code. You don't actually have to have Xcode installed. So now I've got the same code running on 2 platforms, and let's go for the hat trick and go ahead and I hit W. It's a shortcut for the web in the terminal, and we can see that it's launching Webpack, and okay, there we go. We've got it over there. So let me arrange this so we can see them all at the same time. Okay, and let's do move these windows around. So we start coding. We'll see some of the changes that happen to them. So let's put the Android one over here. I don't know why that's not dragging. I'll close this. There we go. Just couldn't get a handle on that. So here is our project. Says right there, open up app to start working. We can see go ahead and save a change to the text, and look, we saw it. So it's already updated on web, Android and iOS. The live reloading, we change the color, background colors, all updated. So that's a really nice experience. So you can see if you're just doing something on your own or a really small software shop. I'm working with a startup right now where we don't have the resources to have a team that we've got to have native iOS developers, native Android developers, native web developers. It's a bit much. In that way, it's hard to. You have different bugs on different platforms. It's the cost of rolling out features. There's benefits to having somebody that native apps on every. App developers, optimizing for their platform, but for some people, some teams, this approach is amazing. It really can boost productivity and get ideas out there so much quicker. And let's see. Well, I guess one more thing I'll do on this first video is maybe we'll wire up a UI library, since we're gonna be iterating on this more, just to show some more features, more things we could do in this universal app. But I think for this first video, we'll just throw some of these components. So there's lots of different UI libraries you could use if you choose to. You just have, not all of them will work universal. Like, I think Material UI is a real popular one on the web, but it doesn't support mobile React Native. I found this React Native paper to be a pretty sweet one that we're starting to use on a project at work, and I'm gonna anyways, as I kind of learned things on this new greenfield Expo app I'm working on at work, I'll try to create some screencasts to kind of just share some of our experiences and some of the things we learn along the way. So yeah, let's wire up React Native paper. And actually, while I'm doing that, I'll just kind of show some of the things you get. Like an app bar, bottom navigation. There's just these material. You can see the material animations and stuff like that. All kinds of just handy things that we don't have to build everything. So let's go ahead and do that. So just following their documents here, I think they recommend wrapping your app in this provider, this provider for React Native paper. You can add custom themes or use theirs. They support, I think, dark mode and some other things. We'll just wrap our app in this paper provider, and maybe, let's see, let's look at their buttons. Let's put a button on the screen here. Well, I know they have some different examples here. You can have a icon button, text button, outline button, contain button. So yeah. Let's see if this works. Copy and paste development. There we go. Press me. Where's my web one? There we go. So now that was pretty easy. So we've got a component library wired up that we could start to build our UI in. We've got a lot of work to do on this. Actually, I haven't even really decided what sample app this is going to be, or what we're going to do on this series. We'll kind of flesh that out as we go. But I mean, some of the things that I'm definitely going to be covering will be deploying the web part to Netlify. Expo can handle deploying the apps, or at least running it in their managed workflow with the Expo client. I'll probably get into some videos where we talk about how you might set up CI/CD using GitHub Actions. So we're using it at work, and for with the Expo app, possibly some storybook integration, maybe some test automation techniques using maybe Detox or some of the other testing libraries out there. I'm not sure if we'll see which ones work best with a Expo application. Some other test automation techniques. We're definitely going to go through an authentication flow. So logging in, probably with Firebase auth, and then we might get into state management with state machines, not really related to Expo specifically, but it's a topic that I'm kind of interested in, and I might include that in this series. If we have a GraphQL backend, I'll get into some Apollo client, possibly some managing state with Apollo client as well, local state, and I don't know, we'll just see where it goes. So just as like I said, we're doing a greenfield app in my work and using Expo for universal development. So kind of my goal with this series is to kind of learn in public, and as I learn new things, just kind of share them out here with everybody and share my kind of experiences as it goes through there. And so we'll see how it goes. Let me know in the comments if there's maybe something specifically you're interested in me demoing in Expo or Universal App Development.